I think probably everybody in the world absolutely loves the whole badass knight aesthetic that you find with a lot of heroes inside games, especially gacha games. But we have probably one of the coolest examples of this, maybe ever, in Cassiel. So Cassiel is a fantastic looking hero, obviously from the Northerners as well as the Supreme Arbiters. So he's going to benefit from like King Hars as well as Praetus if you have him. We're going to be checking him out today. This is going to be the initial look. I just pulled this guy on his raid up with Araka. Didn't get her, which is perfectly okay. I have her. I was just interested in getting him because he's one of the most unique looking heroes we've had so far in the game. I absolutely love Berserk, so having any sort of a character with a big-ass sword like this is always a win as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at his skills. So he has a talent. He's going to gain 1 stack of Divine Sigil every 60 seconds. So this consumes 1 stack to increase damage from the ultimate by 20% for 20 seconds, stacking up to 3 times, so up to a 60% damage increase. For each ally in the ultimate range, which is huge, by the way, it's a Dolores range, we'll talk about that, increases Divine Sigil's natural gain rate by 30%, so stacking up to a 90% increase. Every time the hero or an ally affected by Fortified Blessing takes damage, reduces the time remaining until gaining the next stack of Divine Sigil by 5 seconds. So, what is Fortified Blessing? It's his passive. Shares 45%. This goes up to 50% of the damage taken by the ally 1 tile ahead. The hero gains physical damage reduction and magic reduction. They'll both be 20% once he's fully booked out. He has a basic attack. Deals 120% damage once it's booked out to one enemy. He has a passive after casting the ultimate. Increases rage restored by consuming Divine Sigil by 30%. The follow-up attack of Divine Retribution, which is something that can happen on his ultimate, additionally inflicts damage reduction. So, on his ultimate, Hallow Blade deals 700% damage that ignores defense to one enemy in range and inflicts stun on them. After casting the ultimate, if there are enemies in range, consume 1 stack of Divine Sigil and restores 50% rage. So think about this. This is a 500 cost ultimate on a 300 initial that lasts for 1.5 seconds, and you're going to be consuming these Divine Sigils to restore 50% rage. When 3 allied heroes are adjacent to the hero, the ultimate is upgraded to Divine Retribution, where he deals 700% damage that ignores defense to one target in range. Then shortly after deals another 350% damage of the same type that ignores defense to one enemy with the lowest HP in range. Each instance of damage inflicts a stun. After casting the ultimate, if there are enemies in range, consumes 1 Divine Sigil and restores 50% rage. Ladies and gentlemen, on paper at least, this guy reads out as a potentially insane DPS unit for your team, so we're going to be testing him mainly inside Guild Boss and just see how he's able to do. Now, keep in mind, this is an auto ultimate, which is a bit of a shame, because it means that he's not really going to be able to control when his ultimate pops, right? So we're going to have to essentially just, put him with some heroes that don't necessarily do damage or anything like that, and then just see what he's capable of doing, especially over a longer fight. It's a bit of a shame that you can't control it, because the stunnage would be absolute fantastic, obviously, for Semra, and I'm sure if you get things, timed up right, it'll probably work. And that being said, ladies and gentlemen, worst case scenario, this is some extra RNG stuns that might come in and help your team, right? And he does also have that nice 2 tiles of range. Let's go ahead and take a look at his Awakenings, which I don't have, sadly. A1, when deployed, gains 3 stacks of Divine Sigil, so just immediately gets them. When no enemies are within the ultimate range, this restores 20 extra rage per second, so he could be absolutely cracked for single target arena. A2, attack plus 300. A3, when Divine Retribution is activated, increases single target damage dealt by the hero by 25%. Pretty crazy. Penetration on the A4. And then A5, finally, when Divine Retribution is cast, gains an additional shield equal to 25% of HP for 10 seconds, which can stack, by the way, up to 100%. So you can get a 100% HP shield on this guy. This guy also has very, very solid base stats, right? So his base HP is almost 32,000 for a fighter. Absolute insanity, right? Absolute insanity. Let's go ahead and take a look at his artifact that I'm running him in. I'm running him in a maxed out Flux Pendant. I don't really have anything that I'd rather run on this dude. Like, I could obviously do a Hallowed Hilt, or a Shadowed Hilt, rather, but I don't have one that's maxed out, sadly. And then, of course, we could also do a Wailing Skull, but, I mean, this is what I have, right? This is what we're going with. Let's take a look at the gear. I've simply put my Sun Wukong gear on him. So we have 54,258 on the HP, 21, almost 22,000 attack. We have 363 attack speed on him for a 1.5 second interval, 115 and then 340 crit rate and crit damage respectively, and then no rage regen on him. So we're going to be depending on like our hollows and our Eloins to really help keep him alive. So that being said, how would I recommend building him? Kind of like you see here. We talk about this all the time. Left-hand side, you're looking Wicked Vengeance, Warlord, Calamity, Whirlwind, and Annihilating Might. Those are the gear sets that you're going for. You're looking for, obviously, attack, crit rate, crit damage, attack speed, all that sort of good stuff. Right-hand side, I think, personally, that Soulbound Arcana is going to be the best in slot for this guy because of how fast his ultimate's going to cycle. But you can easily run him inside Infernal Roar. There's some very strong builds out there as well. Ageless Wrath, as well as Cataclysm, are all going to be fantastic. If you're going to bring this guy as more of like a support, where he's just sharing damage with your tank, maybe putting some stuns out there, then running him inside like a damage build inside a morale set could be very, very strong as well. As always, this is a 100% free-to-play account, so any sort of gear or champions that you see here are technically attainable for everyone, as much as we may not want to admit it. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in a Supreme Arbiter in the way of Praetus. Actually, we won't do Praetus. We'll do something a little bit more accessible here. We'll do the epic version. So, Alicia. I forgot her name there for some reason. We're going to put Alicia in, and then we're going to pair that with our Cassiel, obviously. So right here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring in Eloin, and we're also going to bring a Hollow. So we're going to need those two. Then we just need some units that we can place around him, so we're looking for fighters or tanks. Now, I think a Toreador would be perfect to place in front of him, because you're going to be using a team composition like that for something like Abyss 1 anyways. We're also going to bring in a Numera, so that she can essentially just sit to either side of him. And then we'll bring in, let's say, a Valkyria, just so we have an extra unit underneath the oh my god, I cannot, the Supreme Arbiters faction there. Now, they're not necessarily going to be doing a whole lot of damage. They're not necessarily who we're here to talk about, but they're still going to help out a little bit. Obviously, Toreador with his defense reduction is going to help us there as well. It's going to make our attack mean a little bit more. But that being said, Cassiel doesn't care anyways, right? He's bringing defense ignore. So we're going to go ahead and do a play test on this here and just see what kind of damage he's able to do when his ultimate pops off. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pause this. We're going to place our Eloin here. We're going to place our Hollow here. We're going to do Cassiel right in the middle. Then we're going to do Numera. We're going to do Toreador. And then we're going to do Valkyria, just like this. So that gives him the 3 adjacent units there. We have the defense and the magic damage scaling there. So let's go ahead and see. His ultimate pops off. He's dead. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Let's go ahead and try that again, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't have him built out with enough HP, I guess. So the first hit there just went ahead and took him out immediately because of how the Toreador was placed. So what we're going to do additionally is we're also going to bring in a Pharisee here just so we take less damage. And then we're just going to go all out with healers here for testing, right? So we're also going to bring in a Carnelia. So let's try something like that. Let's do a play test. Hopefully he stays alive this time. The AoE slam there, like, really hurt our Toreador, which then through, like, extension really hurt our Cassiel because, like, obviously he's sharing damage, right? So we're going to go ahead and do something like this, get Numera up there, get Toreador in front. Let's see, hopefully we're able to survive this time. Let's check it out. But he's going, pops the ultimate, he's dead again. Great. We're going to have to try this one more time, ladies and gentlemen. Instead of Toreador, I think we might bring in a tank of some sort. There's, like, no way that he should just be getting clapped like this, so let's go ahead and do this. So let's get rid of Toreador, because Toreador is not particularly tanky. So let's bring in like a Brokir to sit in front of Toreador, right? Because then his damage sharing should be significantly less intense. So Let's go ahead and take a look here. Let's pause this. We're going to get our Brokir up here. Obviously, Brokir is not somebody that you generally use inside Guild Boss 1, but hey, it is what it is. We're here to test things out and see how it goes, right? So we're going to do something like that. Get these guys here like so. Now, the damage sharing, again, with Brokir shouldn't be anywhere near as intense. And he does get clapped once again, unfortunately. So, this is actually a little bit crazy because he seems to be damage sharing with, like, basically everybody inside his range. Either that or he's just not very tanky at all. But, I mean, he has, what, like 50-some thousand HP? He should be surviving this no problem. So let's go ahead and let's try this again. So let's just place him this time, right? Let's just place him. We're going to place all our healers, right? We're still going to get the whole heal squad out here again just so he can cycle. But we're going to place just him, see if he survives, right? Boom. He survives, but it still does take like half of his HP. So he's not incredibly tanky by any means. His ultimate did pop off there as well. And we're at about 1.5 million damage with him so far. So certainly nothing too crazy. Now, based on that, the initial impressions here, ladies and gentlemen, looks like you might want to build him almost just to be a more tanky unit that's going to help the rest of your team survive. It doesn't necessarily look like you're going to want to go with just strictly damage. Because even on this, you can see, like, really how much he's just getting slapped around by the boss, right? Like, it's sometimes taking out, like, half his HP bar. And obviously, if we have more units down here that are going to be sharing that damage with him, it's going to be even worse, right? So, damage output is not too crazy either. So, he's popped his ultimate, like, 3 times. And granted, he is just A1, but still, on paper, at least, it sounds like it's going to do crazy damage. But it hasn't been that crazy yet. So, let's go ahead and take a look here. We're going to go back to his kit real quick and just read through this again. So, shares 45% of the damage taken by the ally 1 tile ahead. So, yeah, the tank in front of him. We're going to go ahead and go back to our Sun Wukong here and switch the gear back to him. So, we're going to take the gear off of our, right there, our Cassiel. And then what we'll do is we'll go back to Cassiel. And then we'll actually try to equip him with maybe a bit more of like a tanky damage dealer build. I can't find him, apparently. I think Watcher of Realms needs to desperately introduce some sort of a, like a hero vault, where you can, like, basically just hide heroes that you're not actively using, because it's getting a little bit annoying to scroll through all this all the time. So let's go ahead and take a look at a quick change here. Do we have somebody that's a little bit more tanky? Who do I use that's a tanky DPS? Praetus, certainly not. Valkyra, also certainly not. I don't necessarily have many DPS that are built out to be also tanks. So that definitely makes it a bit tough. Like, we're all just kind of leaning into attack with everything here. So, obviously, you know, Abomination might be kind of the exception to that. We'll get him well up over, like, 70k HP there. So I think we'll actually go ahead. We'll change out the gear here. Total attributes now almost 75k. 355. We still have good crit rate, just not much crit damage. So let's see if the extra HP is able to help him survive. And he does, of course, now have Infernal Roar as well, as opposed to the Soulbound Arcana. So we're going to take a look and just see if he's able to survive. I think this is going to be kind of the downside with him, though, that, like, if he can't survive on his own, that means that you're going to be stuck running somebody like a Carnelia with him, you know, all the time. And I mean, really, at the end of the day, if you have a Carnelia, you probably have better options for this anyways, right? So we're going to face the first Infernal Roar here, see if he's able to survive. He just gets instantly clapped. He just sits down. And we have a Brokir in front, ladies and gentlemen. One of, like, the tankiest heroes inside the entire game. So let's go ahead. Let's place Cassiel. Let's just do only Brokir this time. Place all our healers as normal. And, I mean, we also have Pharisee. Right, so Pharisee's making it so that we have AoE damage reduction as well. And he still just gets clapped on the roar. That is absolute insanity. Let's go ahead. Let's switch out his gear here a little bit. Right, so I'm going to go to Abomination, and I'm going to put the gear back on him, I think. So let's go to Fighters. just before I forget where all the gear is supposed to be. Need to do a showcase on the A5 Abomination at some point as well, but that'll come in time, ladies and gentlemen. That will come in time. So let's find our Cassiel right here. Switch all the gear back over to him. Now let's do a manual build on the Cassiel here as well and see what we're able to get figured out, if anything, for him. So here he is. Left-hand side, we're going to be looking for substats of HP bonus, crit rate, and flat HP, if at all possible. Probably don't really have any good gear pieces from that front, but we'll try something like that. And we'll do the same thing for this. So that looks like a perfect piece right there, actually. Now, right-hand side, we're actually going to put him in all HP bonus main stats with some crit rate and then maybe some defense percent substats if we can. So we'll pull gear off of other heroes here as we need. Gear off of Isolde, why not? And then if we could get him in Soulbound Arcana, that would be perfect. Let's see. Decent piece here. So now we have him with significantly more HP. So we have 118,000 HP on him. We still have 12,000 attack. Not much crit rate. Not much crit damage, right? But we have a Soulbound Arcana set on him. 65% crit rate is pretty bad. But this is basically just putting as much HP as we can on him, right? Like, it's all HP on the right-hand side. We're going to test. We're going to see if he's able to survive this. Because if he doesn't, then I don't really get what the point of this hero is. Because, again, we have him buffed right now with, like, a Pharisee that decreases the AoE damage received. And he's taking AoE damage and then just getting absolutely clapped. So, obviously, we may need decrease, like, you know, damage reduction on the boss. Yeah, I don't really know how else to buff him, though. Like, we can obviously get the Carnelian buff on him. But even still, ladies and gentlemen, with almost 120,000 HP, he almost gets taken out by the boss, which is just absolute insanity. He's doing pretty okay damage, though, as far as everything goes. Let's go ahead and see what happens here once we take another hit and see what he's able to do. So he's doing about 500k damage so far. We take that AoE and he almost gets clapped again. And again, this is with Pharisee on the team, one of the best AoE damage mitigators. You could obviously bring in somebody like a Aelin, right, who's going to help that AoE damage reduction as well. But, I mean, realistically, you should not have to. We have more than enough damage reduction here. Like, this damage reduction is able to get me through Semra. No problem, right? So, he seems to be in kind of a bit of a weird limbo because you want HP on him for him to survive because of his damage sharing and the fact that he can help keep somebody in front of him alive. But his damage is based off attack, so you want attack on him. It just seems very scuffed, right? Like, if there's a few ways to fix this guy. So one, make him do more damage and make him just reduce the damage the ally in front of him takes. So make it so that, like, hey, you know, the ally in front of me takes 15% less damage instead of, like, 45 or something like that, right? And then give him more damage multipliers on his ultimate. That would work fine, so he's an actual DPS unit. Alternatively, lean into that support side of things. So make it so that damage is based off of HP. Make him even tankier, right? Like, even more base HP. Because you can see right now how hard this guy's getting hit every time the dragon does his roar. And the roar is a big hit, don't get me wrong. But, like, my god. He's losing so much HP each time. He is cycling through his ultimates very well, so I do have to give him some credit there. I don't think we get this shield down, but we'll see. Numera on her own probably isn't enough DPS to get through it, unfortunately. He is stacking up a little bit of damage, though, but it definitely looks like he's going to be built for more of that, like, you know, kind of support role on your team, which I was just really hoping for a big DPS unit, if I'm being completely honest. Just with the way he looks, you'd expect big damage. He's super cool, right? Let's go ahead. Let's throw the Torador in here as well. Just to see if we can survive, because we weren't surviving before with the amount of HP that we had on him, so I brought in the tankier tank. So now we'll bring in the less tanky tank and see what we're able to do. So we'll still get down you. We'll get down our healers as normal here. And again, I can't stress enough how much DPS reduction that we're bringing to this, right? So we have the damage reduction that's coming in from the Numera, like the damage down, or the, you know, once she gets her stacks up. So we do survive it this time. So yeah, we have the damage minus 30%. Then we also have Faircy, who says you're taking less AoE damage when I'm on the team. It's like 25% or something insane like that. Like, what more do you do, right? Like, you can't. There's not... Oh, sorry about that. My alarm went off. My clothing's done. I'm doing laundry today. But, like, there's nothing else you can do. Like, there's going to be additional damage reduction heroes soon enough. But, like, it's insane. So if he's not surviving with this, which he is surviving fairly easily so far, but even still, during those big hits, he is struggling, ladies and gentlemen, to stay alive. It's always a question of, you know, if he's going to. And he has 120,000 HP at this point. 120,000 HP, ladies and gentlemen. So he's a solution searching for a problem, if that makes sense. Because in theory, he's very good, where he has that 2-tile range. You can place him behind your tank. He makes your tank more tanky. But where are you going to use him? Right? Like, where? Like, he's a solution in search of a problem, because you can't really use him in like, you can use him to be a damage mitigator, but realistically, the damage mitigation he's going to apply requires him to be built as a tank, right? Because he can't be built with too much attack, as you've seen. He's just going to get clapped, right? So he's going to be a tank. So basically, you're putting a tank behind your tank to make your tank more tanky. It's kind of like, you know, what's the point? I could definitely see him being built for GVG, right? Like Guild Wars, putting him behind like a Torador, just being super annoying, putting him behind like a Brokir. Something like that would be very good, especially with his ultimate range, right? So if we select him, and if we look at his ultimate range, like, that's a very nice range. So he can be sitting back there making your Brokir or your Torador a lot more tanky. But apart from that, I don't really see where you're going to use this guy, to be honest. Like, you're certainly not going to use him in the arenas, because he's just not putting out enough DPS to really make things worth it. Like, to make, you know, him being in the team worth it. We're going to see if he keeps Torador. So he does actually survive that. You know, I'll give him some credit there. He survived that. I didn't expect him to by any means, but he did. He did. And he's doing, you know, okay damage. He's at like 7.2 million. But yeah, it's a weird one. It's a strange one, certainly. So I'd be very curious to hear from you guys, you know, maybe other players who have gotten him down below, how you use him, where you use him, and how you're liking him so far. Maybe I'm missing something super obvious with the kit, but again, it's very confusing. You can't really build him as a tank unit. Well, you can, certainly, but he's not going to get his full benefit, right? The one last thing I'll check here, just for a full look, right? And another thing to consider, too, is he's not a defender, he's a fighter, right? He's a fighter. Vigorous warriors, adept at close combat, and he's just not. But let's take a look at his block. But I have a feeling it's just going to be the base amount. Yeah, so a block of 2, which is okay. But, I mean, we need more than that, ladies and gentlemen. We need more than that from this guy. So this guy's a little bit disappointing so far. I'm very curious to see what the ratings will be when they come out. I'm actually going to go through and rate him. For Faction Trials, I'm going to give him a 5. I think he'll be very good there. Void Rift, probably like a 4. I'll give him a 4. Titanic Runes, I'll give him a 4. He can help you stay alive, but I mean, like, Drake's Chasm, not really that good. Single Target, probably a 3. We'll actually run him in single target as well. Artifact Material Raid, probably a 3. Tide, I think he'll be good because he's really easy to build HP on. Probably a 4 for right now for Guild Wars. Gold Raid, we'll give him kind of a 2. And same thing for XP Raid. You just want a lot of AoE damage for those areas. Immortal Codex, I could see him being good. Same thing with Gear Raid 2, actually. He could definitely help out with your tanks surviving the Screech there if you're really struggling with that, if you don't have, like, a cycle team. Gear Dungeon 2, probably going to be pretty good. Gear Dungeon 1, also probably going to be pretty good. Gear Raid 1, not very useful. Arena AoE, not very useful. Gear Raid 3, not useful, unfortunately. And then, obviously, Anti-Air. I don't even think he has capabilities of attacking, you know, air units. So there we go. Those are the ratings. Let's go ahead. Let's hop into single target arena here. We're going to go here. And we'll bring in kind of like a traditional composition that you'd see here. So we'll bring in like an O-Log. And then we'll bring in... We'll take out Elowin. We'll bring in our Cassiel. So we'll do something like this. This is going to be a bit weird to even try and place, because we also have Sun Wukong that we're going to have to place somewhere for damage, but it is what it is, I suppose. I have some ideas on how we might be able to do it. He's very high, like, cost as well. Like, he's a 19 cost fighter. So we're not getting him down for a little while, right? Like, what I'm thinking, though, is we'll place him, like, right here. Now, granted, he's not built out in his DPS build currently, but... Eesh, ladies and gentlemen, eesh. We'll do that. Yeah, like, this is... Again, he doesn't have the DPS build on him right now, so we'll get Yao Chan down with her inspo. That'll help out a little bit as well, I'm sure. Can we... Yeah, Sun Wukong can't reach, unfortunately. So we got a bit more damage coming out of him here. We'll now place down our O-Log, which I don't necessarily think he can reach the enemies that are there, but as soon as they're like on O-Log, he should be able to. It's weird because like you can't really. I'm struggling. I'm trying to give this guy, like, best case scenario in every way, right? Like, trying to give him, like, you know, the fact that he might be the most useful in some way or something like that. And it's just, it's not working. Because, like, no. Matter of fact, he's giving me the ick, ladies and gentlemen. This is crazy. Yeah, and, like, in this placement, he can't even do anything. He just sits there and hangs out, which is wild. Absolutely wild. And if I had like literally anyone else here, this would be a significantly better team. Like having a like anyone. I'm just trying to think, like, is he a value over replacement for anyone? I don't think so. Like, it doesn't work. It is what it is. But yeah, let me know down below if I'm missing something. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.